Hello everybody, this is Gene Star134 coming to you with a new movie review. As you can see, this is Pacific Rim. Now, coming into this movie, I had to actually watch it twice. One, to cleanse my palate, and two, to rewatch it with a clear mind. And so, this is probably one of the borderline difficult movies, simply for nostalgia reasons. It's very hard to break away from the director, Guillermo del Toro, and from the genre itself. I had a feeling, I had a nostalgia in the sense that, yes, I missed the cusp of the monster movies where Godzilla was not the best looking, but I did grasp into the cartoons, and I did love the cartoons as far as Godzilla went, even if they were cliche. So, watching this movie, it was pretty hard to separate some emotion to it, especially since it was one of the favorite things to see monsters battle it out, even if they were against machines. So, now, for those of you who have nostalgia and have a feeling for this, this will be a slightly contradicted review if you fell for this movie and loved this movie. But bear with me, I will be in all honesty telling you why this movie is where it is in this review. So going into this movie, they start right off the bat explaining why everything is going on. And that's to say that these monsters came out of nowhere and they were named Kaijus, which is the actual translation or reference word for giant monster. And they created Jaegers, which is a German word for giant robots. And so in this cusp of battle, they start this worldwide revelation of we need to band together to fight these monsters because our grudges are nothing compared to the world being destroyed by these monsters. And at that beginning, it really at least explains, okay, why is no one fighting? But then it slowly gives you this plot and development and twist. You focus on one character, Riley, played by Charlie Hunnam, and he's not that famous, but he does a good acting job within this movie. And him and his brother go into battle, controlling both the Jaeger, because the Jaeger is even balanced because it's too powerful for one person. And that's understandable. If anything, that gives it a realistic overtone to balance out how this giant machine can be controlled by one person. If anything, it works better into the control of how the movie and the plot go. So you see this major battle, and then what happens is they fight this kaiju, and it happens to destroy part of the machine, or the Jaeger, and takes Riley Beckett's brother. And so you see this development of character just within that, and then going on, you see that the program is shut down in favor of this wall that's supposed to block off the kaijus. And lo and behold, the wall doesn't work. So now it's down to about several Jaegers, or I believe 4 Jaegers, and Riley is chosen to be one of the pilots. And from there, I will kind of cut out the rest. I mean, of course, you will have to find for yourself because it is fairly worth watching. But going into this, why did it not do so well? The question is the time. And in this time of movies where fairly generics are expected, where it's action, horror, romance, it sticks out, and that is a problem. We ask for individualism in this industry, and yet if there is anything that is considered new or worthwhile, it is in a sense shunned upon or looked at like, oh, it doesn't fit with our character. In a sense, that is the status quo. Now, that's to say that if the movie came out 10 years ago to 15 years ago, it would have been a worldwide hit. I honestly feel like if this movie was made in the right time, it would have done tremendous. Now, where it does lack, or where does it fall short, is in the story. But to tag a movie that is already 2 hours long with character development, then major cusping battles that are beautifully choreographed, along with directions inside of an actual machine instead of CGI, where the characters are moving, going, and fighting hard, and the actors are doing actual movement, is to say that it is hard enough to do it. I mean, if anything, this could be turned into a series. But to say that the movie didn't have fault was without truth. It did have fault in the fact that it didn't have enough development for the characters, or at least for the story, but it lost it in the fact that it had to show these grandiose, almost unbelievably awesome battles. But to say something lacks something just because it didn't have enough time is an understatement in any movies, honestly. So, in my opinion, this movie was good. Almost great. If it had its development, like I said, if it had its characters with stronger backgrounds, like I would like, it could have been a masterpiece. But in the sense that I wish it could, it would have been 3 to 4 hours. A movie that is difficult enough to shoot in 2 hours. So, overall, I love the movie. As far as it goes, the most famous people in there are Charlie Day and Ron Perlman. And that's saying something. For those two to be the most famous actors in the movie is saying something, because, not to bash on them, but they're not on top A-list stars. But they still put their heart into the movie just as everyone else did. And that showed that this movie was worth watching, because everyone was working their ass off, putting their heart into this movie, and you can see it with every single movement. Even the graphical editing and the stylized action scenes where the CGI is placed is done beautifully. And yes, again, I go back to the constant bickering or the constant picking at the development of the characters, but if that is my only nitpick about this movie, I can honestly say that I would tell you to watch this movie over and over and over again, to buy it, to see it, to have it in your collection, because it is that worthwhile in this time, to see something original, something endearing, something creative, where you can actually say, I would love to be in that universe. I would love to watch this movie and over again, without having to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to have a continual spout of nonsensical justice. To say this movie was better than the original, this one was this one. If anything, this movie feels like it can bring back the genre in the inspiration of creativity. And by that tangent, I will let you go and watch this movie, and I hope you enjoyed this review as much as I did. For I am Gene Starwin, 34, signing out.